492 words about a rifle on a mountain. Red Dead Redemption 2. Published on my website, accordionsprout.com, 30th of August, 2024. Standing next to a frozen corpse on a mountain while the sun rises is a solid vibe. Let me explain. I started replaying Red Dead Redemption 2 recently. I interrupt here very briefly to note, recently was in August of 2024, so it's been a while. To resume, I started replaying Red Dead Redemption 2 recently because my girlfriend plays it religiously, but she and I have different playstyles. She doesn't play the story, she just hunts everything and plays around in the world while I try to collect the weapons, cigarette cards, gold bars, and actually follow Arthur Morgan's story. Having recently discovered an interactive map for the game, this has made my job easier and rather enjoyable, and so looking at the northwest quadrant, I saw that there were, to quote the parlance of yesteryear, gold in them thar snowy hills. Gold in this sense was cigarette cards, and a carbine repeater. I packed Arthur plenty of food, warm clothes, and snacks for his horse, and rode for the snowy mountains. Finding the cards wasn't too difficult, but the carbine required some navigation. There are several abandoned cabins in Red Dead Redemption 2 that are haunting in their appearance. Entering them and looking around, I'm always waiting for an NPC to stumble in through the doors, guns blazing. This cabin was buried in snow and remained empty. I searched everywhere, but no gun could be found. I looked outside and discovered a trail that led into the woods, and so I followed it. It wasn't a long hike, just vertical until I crested over a hill. Resting on a small bump of snow was a figure, and as Arthur approached, I saw it was the body of a frozen human being clutching the carbine. Pilfering the rifle from its former, and now frozen owner wasn't difficult, but what was difficult was tearing myself away from the view. The sun was peeking over the edges of the mountains on a new day, and the landscape was nothing but the somber grays and blues of the mountains broken by the blank snow. It was beautiful. The popular rhetoric about open-world video games that's often sold to consumers is they have the potential for players to become lost in a new world. With a few notable exceptions, I've found this usually bunk. Numerous open-world games are empty collectathons that are trying to replicate the success of other and far better crafted games. The promise of the open-world video game, however, is still enticing entirely because there is a hope that a game will create the experience of being in an entirely different reality. And Red Dead Redemption 2 succeeded beautifully. The intellectual impression of looking at Arthur, looking at a recreation of the Appalachian Mountains in the snow, was an aesthetic and emotional triumph. I perceived this reality, and for a few moments, I was effectively in that reality. The freezing air and the screeches of nearby eagles were simulated, but standing next to that corpse and holding that carbine, I was alive in a world totally different from my own. Joshua Jammer Smith, 30th of August, 2024. Howdy, I'm Jammer. So, as always, thank you so much for listening. Whoever you are, wherever you are, I tremendously appreciate it. I know that there is so much content on YouTube that you could be watching instead of this or listening to this, but hey, seriously, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. So, getting into this essay. This was one of my under 500 word essays that was far more about just sort of remembering or capturing one brief moment that happened while I was playing video games. But at the same time, I do, if I can give myself some credit, which I hardly ever do, I tried at my best here to point out that Red Dead Redemption 2 is one of the few video games I've played in recent memory that really created and captured what an open world game should be. Like, some of the other examples of truly beautiful and great open-world video games that I've played are honestly like Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild or Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. Both of those games are open-world games, and I frequently have found myself just stopping and looking at this simulated reality and listening to the sounds of it, looking at the colors of it, studying it. And Red Dead Redemption 2 is one of the few other open world games I've played recently that really captures that energy. Like I note in the essay, I started playing it because my girlfriend plays it, and she would tell me stories of like, oh, this really silly thing happened. I was trying to shoot this deer, but then my horse kicked me off and dragged me 3 feet around, or I blew up a train, or all this really fun, over-the-top, ridiculous stuff. And that's fine. That is exactly how she plays, and given how much content there is on YouTube alone about Red Dead Redemption 2, clearly other people are playing this game the exact same way. I'm just not that kind of video game player. I don't know what it is. I just typically prefer to focus on the collectathon aspects, and really, maybe part of it was because I had played the first Red Dead Redemption and she hadn't, and to date she still hasn't, but she has watched me play the game all the way through. So now she understands far more about the lore behind John Marston and all that stuff. But for me, the appeal or initial appeal of Red Dead Redemption 2 was the story. And it didn't stop being the story, because if anyone's listening who has played the story from beginning to end knows, it is one hell of a ride, and it just gets better and better and better. Like, I hate giving Rockstar much credit because they're a billion-dollar company, but damn, Red Dead Redemption 2 is one of the best games ever made. And it's entirely because there is so much in it. And there have been so many moments while I've been playing, like this moment when I had Arthur on the side of a mountain, standing next to a dead body, holding a rifle, and just looking at the mountains. It is what can simply be described as a moment of mindfulness. It is a moment where in a moment, there's too many moments. It was an opportunity to stop and reflect on the fact that I was existing and that I was happy with existing. And even if the moment was created by a digital simulation, it's worth understanding in and of itself from a media studies perspective that a work of media could create that impact. Being the kind of person that I am, just from a medical perspective, I suffer from a lot of allergies. As such, a majority of my life has been spent indoors. I mean, I can go outside for extended periods of time. It's just that there's certain times of the year where if I stay outside for too long, I will literally just turn into a big bubble of snot. It's disgusting and gross. So books and comics and video games, these were how I have been able to sort of observe the beauty of nature. At least, I don't want to say not indirectly, but sometimes, or it's just helped me appreciate reality as it is. When I look at this moment of searching through this open world to try to find one little trinket, in this case, a couple of cigarette cards, but then ultimately this carbine repeater, which I actually found out after the fact I already had a carbine repeater, so this whole thing was kind of pointless already, but I got an essay out of it, so hey, what can you do? This moment just was beautiful. And when we talk about video games as a medium, I think sometimes what gets lost in conversations is their ability to create beauty and thus sort of inspire joy within players. Because maybe it's because so much of the video game market is capitalism. And I'm not about to go into a whole criticism of that, but what we can't deny as players is that so much of video games is wrapped up in economic enterprises. Companies put a lot of time and money and energy into these games, and so they expect money and responses back. There's not always, or at least not directly, a concern for creating an artistic moment, a moment of mindfulness, or some similar kind of emotional reaction. But Red Dead Redemption 2 is this weird, strange, beautiful game where there's so much money going into it. Obviously, Rockstar is, again, a literal billion-dollar company, okay? It's nobody could look at them and say that they're not in it to make some money. They are, and that's not a bad thing. But what's really fascinating is the way that Red Dead Redemption 2 is a beautiful example of how we can create moments of mindfulness and create emotional reactions from simulations. As a medium, video games don't always get the same kind of street cred that mediums like drama or novels or painting do, because they've been more well established, and because, of course, those mediums don't require anything in the way of high-end technological electronic equipment. But they still have the same ability to emotionally impact players. And it's worth taking the opportunity to capture these small moments and observe how it's inspiring that joy. Because what's the point of giving, in my case, well over 100 hours of my life and time to Red Dead Redemption if I'm not finding something beautiful or rewarding in it? It's food for thought. I just realized now that I forgot to do my little plugs and stuff, but I'll go ahead and kind of do that here as I'm signing off. Thank you again for listening. Again, whoever you are, wherever you are in this beautiful world, I tremendously appreciate it, and I can't say that enough times. Thank you, thank you, thank you over and over again. Thank you for listening. It means a lot. Second, if you like the video, all the usual YouTube claptrap, like, share, and subscribe. It really does help. If for nothing else, it lets me know people are liking these, watching these, and they want to see more. And then also, too, if you like what I'm doing with these videos, if you like what I'm doing on the website Accordion Sprout, if you follow me on any of my visual art accounts, or if you like anything that I'm throwing out into the universe, please. My Patreon is in the link description below. There's literally one tier. It's a $1 a month tier because I am just some dude on the internet making stuff. And if you like what I'm throwing out there, just throw me a buck. I would be immensely appreciative. Or don't. It's your time. It's your money. And hey, times are rough right now. Regardless, whatever you can offer, I will appreciate. And again, thanks for listening. You rock. And hey, go play some video games.